Doing this a follow-up video on the death of that vet Elliot Williams while he was in the custody of the Tulsa County Police Department. It basically has some specific information, and I'm not going to make this long, but what I want you to do is pay attention to the fact that for 5 days, very few people even came into this man's cell. They came into his cell, they threw food and water at him while he lay on the ground naked and paralyzed. And I'm assuming the first couple of days he was begging for help, though he couldn't move. And then he finally got to a point that he couldn't even beg for help. But the man was defecating and urinating on himself because he couldn't move, couldn't even get out of his own, feces and urine. Now I don't know about you, but anybody, that's going to try to fake something is not going to lay there in the same position, shitting on themselves and pissing on themselves. That's just a feeling that human nature or otherwise, even animals will not lay in their own, defecation. And this man laid there in that for that period of time. But what I really want you to pay attention to is after he's dead. Watch all the activity then. Watch the, 20 or 30 or 40 people that roll in and out of the cell. The man is dead. Now they try to give him CPR and render aid to basically to a corpse. Anyway, this is just again a follow-up so that you can see for yourselves, the activity that occurred in that jail cell before that man actually passed and then afterwards.
Story out of Tulsa County, Oklahoma, we mentioned on yesterday, involving an Army veteran with a substantial history of mental illness. Elliot Williams died in police custody at the age of 37. The ordeal began 5 years ago when employees at the Tulsa Marriott Hotel called police regarding a mental disturbance in the hotel lobby. That's where Williams appeared to be having a psychological breakdown. Williams told responding officers he was suicidal, but instead of taking him to a mental hospital, they reportedly kicked his knees into his spine while arresting him. He was initially taken to Owasso Police Headquarters, later booked and transferred to a Tulsa County jail after repeatedly banging his head against the wall and reiterating his suicidal thoughts. But once the veteran arrived at the jail, Officer Jack Wells allegedly slammed Williams to the ground in order to cuff him, resulting in Williams crying out in pain. For the next 5 days, Williams begged for help and told numerous staff members that he was in critical pain and could not move his legs or anything below his neck.
Okay, so that's the point where they got to go get that particular cop, because that was the cop that probably paralyzed him.
But all his pleas were ignored. They said he was faking. As you can see there on the video, guards tossed food into his cell, even placed a cup of water he begged for out of his reach. Over those 5 days, no one helped Williams to the restroom, so he relieved himself where he was. Guards eventually put him on a gurney and dumped his limp body in the showers and left him there on the cold floor. The Army veteran died due to complications related to a spinal injury suffered from blunt force trauma. Medical record.
Now you see all those people in there. Now the man is dead, and now all of a sudden he's getting attention. They're trying to work on him. You see an oxygen tank down there. You see a defibrillator device that is on the right side of the guy in the back that's in a lighter blue than the guy in the dark blue that's trying to resuscitate him. And now people are going to be running through there like roaches, trying to cover their asses.
Also showed he was dehydrated. Several people, including the healthcare facilitators at the jail, are facing a lawsuit from Williams Estate that alleges a lack of mental and physical care for the inmate caused his death. Folks, this is a perfect example. We just had the Ferguson story where they're requiring body cameras for folks in jail. We've seen other stories. We've seen the young girl out of Kentucky. We've seen a case out of Fort Worth, Texas. Part of this, of course, lots of stories out of Rikers Island in New York. This is an example where if you have body cameras, you need to have that type of evidence to hear what's going on and also see what's going on, not just cops on the street, but also folks in jails.
But here's the thing. We have the video. We just looked at the video. It wasn't that no one saw this going on. I think this is another example of our inability or unwillingness to treat mental illness. We put this guy in a place where people had no experience in handling mental illness. He's obviously having real serious problems, because if you read the story, it's a long account of all the things he did. He obviously had serious problems. It wasn't that they didn't have a reason to think that he was unbalanced. He was unbalanced, but they had no way or no idea how to treat him.
And also the fact that they're not going to pay a price for it.
Right.
There's going to be a payout.
Right. And this is where, look, I get civil cases, but this is where individuals, whether you want to call it manslaughter, whatever you want to call it, this is where people need to go to prison.
Right.
Because I'm a firm believer, as long as you continue to have people who are in jails do things, and you just pay a civil bill,
The tax
that's
money.
it.
Right.
Well, this is similar to the Freddie Gray. I mean, Freddie Gray was complaining that he needed to go to the hospital, that he had a broken spine, or his spine was out of place, or whatever the case is. It's sort of similar. You have individuals who literally ignored this man's pleas, and they think, what, his neck was broken? And you leave this man naked on his back, and you're throwing food at him. They wouldn't treat animals like this. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's beyond gross negligence. It's endemic to how police deal with black folk in America now, and it's just unconscionable. I mean, we don't treat animals in this country this way, and there's no outrage. I mean, we spend billions on prisons each year, and it just seems like the problem continues to get worse.
Folks have to go to jail. Folks, go to our next headline.
All right, so I want to follow up on this one, because somebody, those police officers that let that man lay in that jail cell for 5 days, paralyzed, begging for help until he expired, there needs to be some serious jail time on this one, because in my opinion, not just the officer that broke this man's neck, okay, and caused the paralysis, but the people who basically showed no compassion, no care, and he was a prisoner, and no care, no concern for his welfare. All of those people need to be held accountable as well.